The only strategy that you need to grow your business, your income, just make more money in general, is to raise in your levels of consciousness. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you're not familiar with the term consciousness, then you need to get familiar with it, because what I'm about to share with you is really the evolution of humanity. It's really the evolution of where us as a collective consciousness, right? The collective, everybody's consciousness, the collective humanity is really moving towards. Over the last number of years, there's been such a massive rise in people waking up to who they truly are. If you look at the spiritual side of any social media platform, it's full of people talking about the law of attraction, and it's full of people talking about their awakening process, who they are, realizing like that they are infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite abundance. And if you're not familiar with these terms, that's totally fine, but I would recommend to get familiar with it. Because let's look at it from a more surface level, right? If we look at the term mindset or self mastery, things that we're more familiar with in the online space, in business and things like that, we know it's important, but we're kind of like not sure like what it really means. It means raising in your levels of consciousness. That is literally the simplest way that you could put it. We all have a certain level of consciousness that we operate from on a default basis, which is our emotional state. You can also see it as your emotions, the default emotions that you experience on a day to day basis, that triggers certain psychology in your mind, thoughts, behaviors, actions, and then programs that are built up over time. So the collective consciousness, right, the consciousness of humanity, everybody, operates from a certain frequency. For a very long time, that frequency has been quite low. It's been very low. People living in fear and survival and guilt and shame for who they are, not understanding their true power, not understanding who they really are. And that has been changing rapidly over the last number of years, because that's the evolution of humanity, to reach a heightened state of consciousness so that as a collective group, we can expand and move on to that next stage of Earth, to that next stage of life, and that next chapter where we accelerate that growth process. And technology, AI, and all of these things play a massive, massive role in that. Because if we look at AI clears people's schedules more, right? It allows for more free time. If you use AI properly, you can actually free up your time. You can do less time doing the things that you don't want to do, or less time on the things that take up a lot of your time and energy, and then spend more time on thinking, on being able to develop better ideas and products and all of these different services that can be monetized in the 3D physical world that we live in. So AI is a massive part in the acceleration of consciousness, but the reason why growing your income is directly tied to your levels of consciousness is because as this growth process that we're in right now continues to expand and continues to keep growing, it means that the people who do not embark on this journey of self mastery to raise up their levels of consciousness, to increase the levels of emotions and high level emotions like joy and love and peace, and experiencing those on a day to day basis. The more people who do that, it means there's going to be a clear separation between the people who do and the people who don't. And the people who don't will be left behind. And it's just simple as that. AI is going to wipe people out. And this is not because AI is taking over and it's going to be, robots running the world. I don't believe in that. I do believe, though, that the people who do not use these tools that are available to them are the ones that are going to fall behind. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I can't predict the future, but it's definitely not going to be enjoyable for the people who do not use this new economy, this new way of operating to their advantage, because it's going to wipe out certain jobs. It's going to be, just getting rid of a lot of things that we have known for a long time. And it's just directly tied with the expansion of humanity. So when we look at consciousness, like what really is it? Well, it's really awareness. It's the awareness of you as a being, you as a human, and what that really means, your place within the world, and like your understanding and concept of reality and yourself within that reality. And the awakening process is really just understanding who you truly are, which is a spiritual being here living a temporary physical human earth experience, and your body is the vehicle to play that. Like I see it as our body is really the character. Our mind is kind of like the player, the one like directing things and pulling the strings. And then we have that creator perspective as well, which is the God within us, that power within us that we can receive guidance from in terms of our intuition, and just general direction that's based on our DNA, our ancestors, and also the higher guidance from above, which can be considered as God, source, the universe, whatever term you like to use. So, with all this being said, again, how does this tie back to growing your income? Well, the more you raise in your levels of consciousness, the more attractive you become as a human being. Okay, like I live here in Bali at the moment, and it's a place full of wellness. It's a place full of people expanding and having these different types of conversations, and it's quite interesting to look around because everybody's focused on growing themselves, bettering themselves, working out multiple times a day, sometimes going on different trips and hikes and things like that out in nature, connecting with nature, which is our primal essence, because consciousness is with everything, within everything, not just us. It's in nature as well. We're connected to everything around us, and being in the forest or being on a hike is a great way to do that. And people are doing these things. They're recovering. They're eating healthy, and they're doing everything that they can to raise in their levels of consciousness, whether they are actively choosing to like put it that way or not. That's what they're doing. That's what we're all doing. And that's why we're drawn to that. And when you are drawn to that and you're on that journey of self-mastery and mastering your mind and these different areas, which is again just raising in your levels of consciousness, when you do those things, you become more valuable. Not because you know some secret strategy or hack that you know and somebody else doesn't. It's like we know all the strategies and tactics when it comes to sales or growing your business, and like that can take you so far, especially if you're a beginner. But it comes to a point where you are the product, you are the source, and to be able to really bring value to somebody else, you have to be really tapped into that source within you. And if you're not, then you are not going to be able to have the success that you want to have. And this is especially relevant to this new direction that the world is moving in. We're moving to a higher level of consciousness. And again, the people who do not do that and take the steps to do that will just be left behind. Unfortunately, that's just the way the world works. And to become more valuable, well, what do we really have to do? Well, we have to consciously make an effort to master ourselves, right? Remove these vices like porn and drugs and alcohol and the things that basically attract demons into our life from a spiritual perspective, and cleanse our body by being careful of the foods that we eat, the supplements that we take, and being more mindful of the people we interact with, the energy that we give to certain things, and just really taking a step back to be like, if I am infinite consciousness and awareness, and I literally have the source within me, how would I turn up every single day? How would I show up? And then from that place, you make your decisions from there, and it's an ever evolving process. And this is the stuff that I do with clients. I mean, we use the term mindset as a blanket term for mastering your psychology, mastering your energetic state, your emotional state, mastering your emotions so you can make clear decisions and perform better and just live a better life and get the results that you want, because everything is 80% mindset, 20% mechanics. Well, what does that mean? It means raising your levels of consciousness. That is literally all it is. Because when you do that, you become magnetic to opportunities based on your intention that you have set for yourself. So an intention is, if you want to make a certain amount of money specifically, well, you hold that intention in your mind and you trust and surrender to the process of you becoming that highest version of yourself, operating from a higher level of consciousness, and then that comes into reality for you by default. It's as simple as that. And I've experienced this at multiple different levels throughout the last number of years. And it's only really in the last year or so, as I've been working with guys one-on-one, that I've really uncovered the simplicity of what I just said there and how profound that can be in your life. Okay? You will never bring opportunities into your life if you're operating from a lower state of consciousness, especially with this new change and this evolution that's happening. You would never be able to make more money than the current level of consciousness that you currently have and operate from on a more consistent basis. So when we look at self-mastery and we look at mindset and mastering your psychology and all of these different things, when we look at what these things are, it is mastering the internal game. What does that mean again? Raising in your levels of consciousness. So it really is all coming back to this, because you become more valuable, you become more attractive, you become more magnetic, you receive higher guidance and information that other people are not receiving because you're operating from a different state. Your focus is different. You're focused on different things compared to what other people are focused on. And when you master that, life gets incredibly, incredibly fun. You meet amazing people. You join all of these amazing communities online, offline. You get access to things that you never had access to before. Not from even like an egotistical perspective, but just your life just starts to flip and change, and it gets really, really beautiful, really fast. And it's just been incredible to see that. And this all comes down to what people talk about as the law of attraction. Now, I don't really like to use that term because I think attraction is just something that we're always doing anyway. The law of attraction is just how we're operating. Everything that's in our reality right now is something that we have brought in, either to learn a lesson from it, to attract an opportunity from it, to grow, or something that we had set the intention for, or something that we're just attracting based on our frequency, our emotional state, or level of consciousness. They're all the same thing. Frequency, emotional state, and level of consciousness, they're all the same thing. So we attract things into our lives based on how we're operating on a default basis. So if that's the case, then look at your life right now. Like, what am I attracting? What am I experiencing on a day-to-day basis? Am I getting the opportunities that I want? Okay, well, if that's not the case and you're not getting the opportunities that you want, and you find that things are just a massive struggle all the time, then it's likely that you're operating from a state of lack or scarcity or fear or just doubt within yourself, which means that you don't know who you are from the deepest, deepest level. Who are you? I just ponder that question, like, who am I? And the deeper you go into that understanding and that knowing, the more you realize who you truly are as a spiritual being, infinite consciousness, infinite awareness. And if you are infinite consciousness and awareness, then where does scarcity come into that? Because if you're infinite consciousness and awareness, and abundance is within everything, and that is a core universal truth. If we look at the principle of oneness, everything is connected. The table that I'm at right now, the computer, everything around me and everything around you is all coming from the same source. I just recorded a video on the decoding of the matrix and reality. If you want to check that video out, you can go up around here. This video goes into this in more detail in terms of how we perceive reality. But when we truly understand that, we understand that abundance is our natural state of being. It's our natural state of being to be ever expansive, which means that where did this scarcity paradigm come in relation to money specifically? Well, we're programmed this by society because the world operates from a place of lack and scarcity because they don't understand who they are. And when you understand who you are and you go on that spiritual journey or that awakening process, or you're in that and you're trying to figure it out, I get it. It can be challenging at times, but it's a beautiful process because you're breaking down old paradigms, old beliefs, and allow space to create new ones. And that's an incredibly powerful process. So again, tying this back to making more money, you become more valuable, you become more magnetic, and there's really no other way to put it. People want to be around you because you operate from a certain level. If you think about it this way, right? You're running a business, a service-based business, and you work with people closely. Maybe it's an agency service or a one-to-one, or maybe you're even in sales. And you are coming from a state of doubt and fear and anxiety, and you just like, you don't know who you are, and you're kind of confused, and you're operating from a state of being that is not the most vibrant to be around, for lack of a better term. Then people are not going to be naturally attracted to that. Right? They're not going to engage in conversation the same way that they would normally, you know? And if that's the case, then, well, okay, we need to raise our levels of frequency, our vibration, our level of consciousness, so that regardless of what we do or say or the strategy we implement, people just want to be around you. They want to be connected to you. So this is specifically relevant if you're running a service-based business or you're in sales, especially if you're selling for somebody else as well. Because yes, you may not have control over the product you are selling for somebody else, but when you get on a call with somebody, they're looking to connect with a human being because they have a problem. And the only way that they're going to see you or the product or anything as a solution is if you present yourself as the solution, as someone who is operating from a peak state of consciousness and level of vibration that is attractive for them. It doesn't matter what you say. They're going to connect with you because your high level of frequency and vibration and energy overpowers their lack or problem mindset, which means that naturally they're going to be drawn to you. They want to be around you. Even if it's not your product, they want to be around the product because you're a representation and a gateway to the product. So raising your levels of consciousness, raising your levels of vibration and energy is going to be the most profitable thing that you ever do in your entire life. And this is why this journey of self-mastery is no simple game to just say, oh yeah, we got to do self-mastery and we got to master our mind. No, it is the work that is required. And there's no other way to put it. Because you can execute a strategy, you can take action, and you can be the guy who just takes action all the time, and that will get you very far. It definitely will, 100%. But to tick all the boxes in life, to feel the internal freedom, to attract massive opportunities and make the big moves and make the big actions that you're really looking to have come into your life and really step into that, it's going to require a new frequency, which will come over time. But if you can do it earlier, you can do it consciously, right? And that's focusing on the 80% that is self-mastery. So think about it. If 80% of the success that you want comes from self-mastery, mastering your psychology and raising in your levels of consciousness, and 20% is coming from the strategy that you implement and really the actions and tactics and things like that that you implement into your business or your sales process or whatever it is that you're working on, then why is your focus not on the 80% at all times every day? And then taking action from that place. Now, this doesn't mean that you need like a 3 or 4 hour routine in the morning. Like it's not about that. It's about becoming more aware of the paradigms and the limiting beliefs and the thoughts that you think on a day-to-day basis and your self-talk, how you're operating, how you're putting yourself out there. Are you taking risks? Are you going up and speaking to random groups of people? Are you going approaching people on the street? Are you putting yourself in an environment where it's unreasonable for you not to grow? Are you taking the big actions that are going to yield the biggest results when it comes to your frequency? And a lot of it actually comes back to doing less work and showing up more in life, because sitting at your computer all day, every day is not the most productive thing that you can do, even though it might seem that way. It's focusing on the highest priority tasks, the things that are going to move you forward no matter what. And then the rest of the time is spent on mastering your internal state of being, which comes from a variety of different ways. And with clients, I work with things when it comes to relationships and dating, because that is directly correlated to income as well, whether you think it is or not, because your interactions with people or women or just groups of people in general is going to affect your confidence and everything that comes with that. Identifying the limiting beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves that are just limiting us, and we keep telling them to ourselves, and we keep reaffirming that they're true even though they're not true. And then just the thoughts that you think on a day-to-day basis, the psychology around why you're thinking certain thoughts and why you believe something to be true about yourself, and then diving into the healing journey as to where that really came from, balancing your perception when it comes to the tools that we use inside of our program and everything that comes with that. Like, it's a really cohesive strategy to look at how do we start raising our levels of consciousness. But a lot of it comes down to just operating in daily life and interacting with the world, because the best learning and experience that you can get is within the world around you, and it's already there. The opportunities that you're looking for to become the person that you want to become are all around you already. It's up to you to choose to this and to decide to show up as that person in the scenarios that you find yourself in. Is there a group or a community that you can go and introduce yourself to? Is there a cafe or a restaurant or a hotel where there's famous people or there's people who have a lot of money where you can go and start up conversations? It's putting yourself out into the world, into these uncomfortable scenarios that you wouldn't normally do, getting out from behind your computer screen and putting yourself into the world, which is going to allow you to accelerate in such a way that is going to blow your mind. But that takes a level of surrender and a level of just complete trust in the universe that things are going to go your way, instead of trying to spend every waking hour in front of the computer screen thinking that the more stuff that you do, the further that you get. I got stuck there for a long time. It was until I started living life. We're here to live life as human beings. And now this is not to say that, oh, you go off and live life and you do nothing and you never work. That's not what I'm saying. Everything is balance. But it's intentional, high leverage work that is going to move you forward, right? And when you get that action in place and you're moving in that direction, your purpose becomes clearer. When you remove devices like alcohol and drugs and all of these different things that stop us from really just operating from peak performance, right? Not eating well, not being mindful of the food that you're eating or the people that you're around or the environment that you're in. When you start to fix those things as well as master your mind, your psychology, and everything that comes with that, you cannot be beaten. You get clearer on your purpose because it just naturally flows to you. That source energy, that information that is going to give you the best insights, the most potent strategies, and the most high level possible information that you could ever receive from anywhere, better than any course or better than any program, are going to come from you and your internal mastery within when you clear these things up in your life and you open yourself up to be operating from a higher level of consciousness. You will receive the information. This is why I get so fired up about self-mastery, because it's not just because it's the nice fluffy thing and we talk about routines and how can we optimize our day. Why are we doing it? We're doing it because we want to create a great life for ourselves. And that comes from your internal state of being, because you become magnetic. So income is directly related to this, because money is just energy. Money is a frequency as well. If you really truly believe that money is abundant and it's everywhere, it will flow to you. And that's just such a cliche thing to say, but it really does. Especially when you're someone who takes massive action and you are someone who puts in effort. But if you are someone who's taking massive action and putting in effort, but you're still not really seeing the momentum that you'd like, it's coming down to your internal state of being. You're likely not making an assumption here, but you're likely counteracting that action with your internal state of being not being in alignment with that. So you may take the action to create abundance, but then internally you're focused on the lack and the scarcity, which is like counteracting the actions that you take. This is why we have to be careful of these things. Otherwise, they'll ruin our lives. They'll stop us from actualizing. So I can't stress this enough. Raising in your levels of consciousness is the most profitable thing that you could do in your entire life, not just for the business or the thing that you're working on right now, but just as a person, to experience the fulfillment and the joy and the love that you deserve in life. If you want something, you give it first. And in this case, you're giving it to yourself so that you can actually love other people, so that you can actually help other people and be of service. You can't be of service to somebody else, whether you're in sales or you're running a business, if you can't even give love to yourself. How are you supposed to be of service to somebody if you can't even do the basics for yourself? Think about that for a second, right? When we're serving people and we have the intention to serve, we have the intention to be the highest version of ourselves so that we can really serve the people that we're trying to serve. Then obviously I need to master my internal state so that I can actually be of service to the people around me, my community. I can start a family. I can have children because I'm able to manage that. Without raising in our levels of consciousness and raising our levels of frequency, we cannot do the basic things that allow us to live the dream life that we want to live and to serve others to the highest level. Because if we're looking at money here and we're looking at abundance, that comes from service. It comes from service. Like, it just comes from service. There's no other way to put it. It's an exchange. It's an exchange of service. So if you truly want to be of service to somebody, which you likely do if you're watching this video, then you must raise in your levels of consciousness. It's just as simple as that. So I hope there's a lot of things to think about based on this video. I felt really excited and really called to share this with you because this is the work. Like, there's what else is there to do? What else is there to do? We can spend all of our time looking at the different funnels and tactics and strategies. It's all very, very, very simple when you just raise your levels of consciousness. You don't even need to learn more strategies and tactics because they just come to you because it's just obvious, right? It's just obvious. But we get so caught up in our logical mind thinking of all the mechanical things that we need to fix in order to be able to make the changes when really we're focused on the wrong thing. Because the internal mastery side of things and raising our levels of consciousness is the hard work, right? It's the actual hard work because there's some things that we may need to deal with. There's trauma. There's, just looking at your limiting beliefs and seeing them for what they are and detaching from them. And like, it's a process, man. It's like, it's a big part of the journey. It's the majority of the journey. But that's why you chose to get into what you're doing right now. You chose to get into it to become the person, and to become the person, you raise your levels of consciousness. And it's a beautiful journey, and it's worth it. And it's meaningful. And it spreads love into humanity. People feel connected more. They feel you more. You get the benefits of that as well. And everybody else benefits from it. You're more attractive. People like being around you. They want to be around you. They want to pay you money. They want to pay you a lot of money. So it all comes back to this. And none of this is coming from like an egotistical perspective, because that's just a construct of the ego. This is coming from a place of genuinely just wanting to serve other people because you understand that that's the way the universe works. And that's how we grow. That's how we learn. We embarked on this journey of entrepreneurship or getting into the online game or just trying to figure things out and making something for ourselves because we wanted the growth that comes from it. Our soul wants to expand. Our soul wants to grow. That's as simple as that. We may not consciously understand that, but our soul is looking for growth because that's why we're here. Otherwise, what would be the purpose of us incarnating as spiritual beings in human bodies, in human vehicles, to be able to experience this life? There would be no purpose behind it other than learning lessons that are going to help our soul grow. This is why we get into entrepreneurship. This is why we create and innovate and solve problems, because it's expansion. It's the most potent version of expansion that we could ever possibly experience. And it's the journey that is the adventure, the journey of becoming. And we can mold our character within that journey into anything that we want. I've been thinking about this recently, like, what is authenticity? Well, authenticity is really just you understanding that you are malleable. You can change and alternate into different personalities as much as you want. And authenticity is just allowing yourself to be whatever you want, whenever you want, without thinking about it, or without understanding why you're doing what you're doing, and just like allowing yourself to flow. Because if you're trying to be authentic, you're not really being authentic. It kind of goes against the purpose. And being authentic is understanding that you are malleable, you can change. Your identity is not fixed. Your limiting beliefs are not fixed. Your mind is not fixed. You can expand and grow in so many beautiful ways. And that is the growth journey. That's the journey that we're on. But to do that, we got to focus on raising our levels of consciousness. The journey of self-mastery. It's a beautiful journey. So, with all that being said, if there's one thing that you can do today, just identify where are some growth opportunities in my life, and who am I? Who am I really? And when you sit with that question, you don't have to have an answer. You don't have to figure it out all in one go. But allow it to come up, whatever comes up, and just go down the rabbit hole. Go down the rabbit hole. And if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed. If you're new, we drop new videos every week, going deeper into these different things. And this is the most important work that you can do. Can't put it any other way. Drop your comments below. I want to hear what's going through your mind. You have questions. I get back to everybody in the comments as well. I want to see what's going on with you, because this will help shape the direction of this channel, because this is the work. So I want to hear from you. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video. This has been Jordan. I'll catch you soon.